Hello, this is Lawrence Holgate, and this is Understanding Plato, the Smart Student's Guide to the Socratic Dialogues and to the Republic. This is episode 6, on Plato's dialogue Crito, which we continued until from episode 5. This episode is going to be very short, 4 minutes, because there's only about 4 minutes of material left in the chapter from which I'm reading. But to summarize the first part of the Crito, which we just left, I just wanted to add that I interpret it as the earliest offense of what we today call the rule of law, meaning that in civil society, our conduct must be governed by law, not by individuals making individual statements about right and wrong. Socrates takes this seriously when he tells his friend Crito that he will not take his offer to bribe the jailer and escape execution. He just turns it down. He says it would be wrong. And that's because Socrates respects the rule of law. He puts the law ahead of his personal desires. And the laws of Athens say that he and everyone else in his situation have an obligation not to escape if found guilty of a crime. We must accept our punishment. This is what the law requires. This is what Athenian law requires. And so he's prepared to go to his death rather than violate the law. The general question we're left with in the dialogue is about the possibility of acquiring moral knowledge and discovering moral truth. We might all agree that this is not a question for a scientist. If asked whether it is true or false to say that breaking a promise is morally wrong, the best that a social scientist might do is to take a poll and give us a report based on observations about what people believe about the moral wrongness of breaking a promise. The scientist might also find that how people behave does not always conform to what they believe, but all of this is irrelevant to a philosopher and to a philosophical question. What the philosopher wants is knowledge. She wants to know whether it is true that breaking a promise or breaking an agreement is morally wrong, despite what most people believe about this and despite whether their behavior is or is not consistent with their beliefs. All of that is just irrelevant. Now, it's sometimes said that the kind of moral truth sought by Socrates, by Plato, and other philosophers over the centuries is objective truth. This approach to ethics is called moral realism. It's based on the idea that there are real, objective moral facts or truths in the universe waiting to be discovered by the philosopher using only pure reason as her tool. Moral statements, the realist will say, provides factual information about these objective truths. But there is an alternative to realism. It's called moral subjectivism, which teaches that moral judgments are nothing more than statements of a person's feelings or attitudes. In other words, ethical statements do not contain objective truths about right and wrong. They only provide us with subjective reports from others about their feelings of approval or disapproval. As we shall find, as we move to the next dialogue, the dialogue called Meno, and then later to Plato's grand work, Republic, Plato makes a valiant attempt to state and defend his own version of moral realism. Whether he fails or succeeds is up to us to determine, although Plato will insist that what we objectively think or subjectively think about his arguments is irrelevant. Because, he says, the rules of logic are objectively true. And that finishes the Crito for us. The next dialogue in the next episode will be about the famous dialogue called Meno. See you later. Bye-bye.